we have another caller who wants to talk to us. MD, I'm worried about this call, but we're going to take it. We're talking to John. Excuse me. John is calling in from Canada. John, you're live on Truth Wanted. What's up?
I heard I heard all the audio calls about the gay. They don't say gay bill in Florida, and I'd like to say that I am in favor of it. It should be totally enforced. It's a good thing.
Well, John, considering your opinions when you've called into the show before, I'm not surprised. But why do you would you be in favor of this?
Yeah, why do you think that?
Because children should not be taught about sexuality. Children should be taught about arithmetic, English, because that's all they need to know. Children are not ready for this.
Why?
Children and sex have nothing to do with each other. This
school and
child abuse. There's no difference.
Did you say school and sex have nothing to do with each other? Is that correct?
I'm saying that children and sex have nothing to do with each other. Nothing.
Did you not have sex ed in your school?
This is not okay. Fine. You want to talk about me? Fine. I'm going to tell you a story. When I was 11 years old, I wrote a sexually explicit sentence on in front of class. I was teased to death. I was in tears. If that happened to me, it can happen to children, and that's nothing. This is indoctrination. Why are you so insistent that children?
Are you, John? Are you saying that you got sex ed as a child and subsequently, and that caused you to write a explicit sentence in front of the class, and then you were made fun of because of the sex ed?
Whether or not I learned sex ed is not important. What is important?
I think that's isn't that the point you're making? Okay, John, when do you think we should teach people about sex? How old do they have to be?
At least 16.
Okay.
Why?
Interesting.
Because that's when the mind starts getting ready for it.
No,
but I know people. I have a good friend who had a child at the age of 15.
Does not make the rule. The exception does not make the rule.
John, what do you think the average age is of when a period starts?
All right, can I ask you, gentlemen, a question?
No, you have to answer my question first. What is the average age of a period? Do you know? It's younger than 16. I'll tell you that.
What are you talking about?
Talking about when a menstruation cycle occurs. What is the average age?
Menarche is the term. What's the average age of a woman's first period? Or a person with a uterus?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
MD, I believe
could be 12 or younger.
Yeah.
Potentially. It's been getting younger over time.
Yeah. And as soon as you can have a period, you're capable of, well, not in all circumstances, but most circumstances, you are capable of reproducing.
Correct.
At that point.
Okay, so all right, gentlemen. So that means we might as well go into the schools and give these children, 6-year-olds, condoms. After all, if they're capable of reproducing, we should let them do it. In fact,
no, because we said the age was 12. But yeah, like
if you're so sure that children should be taught about sex, why don't you just take them to a porn show? Or better yet,
John,
why don't you show them
what's going to be better for the well-being, John?
John, when
we give them a comprehensive sex education, right?
John, when you're learning to ride a bike, do you just like go from walking and then you get on a bike and you start riding? Or do you start with a tricycle and then you figure out how to do that and then you get a bike but you have training wheels on it? That has to do with what it has to do with it, John, is that everything we do in education, everything is stepwise, right? You don't go from 0 to 100, you start slow. And what at least I'm advocating for is I don't see a reason why we don't start teaching sex ed, things that are factual about basic anatomy at a younger age than we do now.
Yeah.
Because there's no downside to it. They especially for children who are like 6 years old, they don't have a concept of sex, right? That's precisely my So why don't we teach? Why don't we teach an aspect of sex education where we're just talking about anatomy for example, so that they know if their local priest touches them, that they touch them on the penis instead of the wee-wee. Don't you think that would potentially be more useful and more helpful?
Okay. Even if I were to grant that, which I don't, why do you insist that children have to know about homosexuality or transsexual? What is, or that kids have?
I believe you mean transgender
kids
people.
have two daddies.
Because it's part of a comprehensive sex education curriculum, and leaving it out is intentionally ignoring a component of the realities of sex ed.
Yes, and also, John, gay kids exist and trans kids exist, and they are in every single, like every school in America has one or the other or both. And we have to acknowledge that reality and give them the access to the same tools and the same benefits that we as cis straight people have had with our comprehensive sex education, with their sex education, right? We shouldn't limit them just because that they're different from us. They should be able to have access to that knowledge too.
And remember, children feel like romantic attraction that's non-sexual, right?
Yeah.
Like people like children before puberty, they will feel attraction and like the sort of like preliminary feelings, and those will align with their sexual orientation. So, like Tim was saying, you know, even before puberty and before sort of like the before fully realizing what homosexuality means, he would have, I think he was describing having these feelings of attraction towards other men. Yeah. And I think it's important for children to know that that sort of thing is okay and part of, not abnormal and not something to be ashamed of and all this, right? Mm-hmm. What do you think, John?
Your favorite? Well, I think that all this is indoctrination. You're promoting homosexuality. You're teaching children
it's not promoting homosexuality any more than it's promoting heterosexually. It's acknowledging the existence of it.
It's promoting the awareness of homosexuality.
Sure. Yeah.
Do
you agree with that?
Don't need to be aware of homosexuality.
Why? Why not?
Do they have to be aware of? Hang on. Do they have to be aware of heterosexuality?
You don't have to be aware of any sexuality whatsoever. That's my point. None.
Well, they have parents, though.
Yeah.
Okay, then let the parents take care of it. That's their responsibility, not the schools.
Why? No. Why? Okay, if we're offloading the education about things onto the parents, why don't we get the parents to teach, math or science or geography or English? Oh, yeah, because parents are not experts in education and they're not content experts either. So why wouldn't you have a person who's an expert in the content and an expert in pedagogy deliver the lesson?
Okay, so I see that. Answer this question: Are you in favor of getting rid of parents altogether and have the state raise your children?
Why do you always?
Well, hang on. No. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with this. I'm not afraid. What's your question, John?
Are you in favor of parents being removed from the equation altogether and have the state raise your children? And when I say your children, I don't mean in general. I mean your children specifically. You, Dan, and you, MD, aware. Do you want that?
Kids,
do you want you guys to be removed as parents and have the state raise your children? Is that what you want?
No.
I think that there are benefits to having some education be centralized, and there's also benefits to having a home life.
Yeah, and just to clarify too, this bill isn't saying parents can't talk to kids about sex. They can't. They couldn't enforce that even if they wanted to. It's giving the state the power to talk about it in the classroom. That's the difference, or removing that power. Actually,
removing
that's what
the
bill is
power.
doing. Yeah.
All the bill is saying that parents have a right to know what their children are being taught, which makes complete sense. You don't.
No, that's not because you could. If that were the case, then the bill would say, okay, here's what we're going to teach. FYI, you don't have a say in it, parents. This is what we're teaching because as a society, we've decided that this is what's important for children to know. Just like we've decided, for instance, that calculus is apparently relevant for people to know. I just don't see this distinction between any other subject and sex ed. I don't know why the exception is being made for sex ed.
Because it's something personal. It's between parents and children.
Why is it between parents and children? It's not between parents and children.
It's definitely not between parents.
It is. That's the way I was taught. Jesus Christ. Why
So the way you were taught is the only correct way to do it.
Yeah, and I'm fine.
Okay.
Hey, listen.
That's not the way I was taught, and I'm also fine.
Yeah, and
So there's clearly more than one way.
My parents never gave me the talk at all, period. And they were actually qualified to do it. They both work in the healthcare profession. They're more qualified than a lot of people. And I just had the school do it, and that was fine. That was great. That's all I needed. Why?
The difference is, John, when you're in school, you're learning with a group of peers who also are ignorant at the same time. And it normalizes the question asking that goes on, right? It normalizes the ignorance. And I think that notoriously people dread the talk with their parents because it's awkward having that kind of conversation with your parents sometimes. Yep. Some people don't have that kind of relationship with their parents. Whereas in the school setting, they have a relationship with the teacher of an educator and a student, right? A teacher and a student.
Yeah.
And so that establishment and those roles are already there. So why wouldn't you want to use those roles, especially if we're not talking about values, right? Like I don't think that anyone is saying, and anyone in these discussions are saying, we need to stop them from telling the children that being gay is better than being straight.
Yeah.
No one is saying that, right?
Yeah.
All that the curriculum should be doing and all that the curriculum would be doing is talking about the fact that these people exist. So what's wrong with a teacher communicating facts?
First of all, if you have a teacher or a student, an adult and a child talking about these things alone, it's going to lead to pedophilia, which is precisely what
they're not taught. That's my whole point. They're not doing it alone. It's in a classroom setting with like 25 other children. And why would it lead to pedophilia also?
Because if we get rid of the difference,
so you think that any adult put in a situation with a child in a room privately where they're talking about sex inevitably leads to pedophilia?
Yes, it does. And only an idiot thinks
that is factually incorrect. That is factually incorrect. Cite your source.
John.
All right, gentlemen. If you really think a child should know about sex, then should they know about war? Does that mean we should send children off to the military to fight a war? Is that what you want?
We should teach them about the fact that wars exist, and we do.
Then send them to war. I see no difference. You might as well send them to war.
Really? You don't see a difference?
Yeah.
Because I would think that the analogy, in your analogy, would be, okay, if we're going to send kids to war to teach them about war as children, then we're going to make sure the kids go and have sex to teach them about sex. That's specifically not what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right? We're teaching them in a safe environment about war. We're saying this is what happened in the past with war, and this is what people do with sex in a classroom setting with books and anatomy and facts.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not going to end there. Have you read the book 1984? MD Aware. You studied.
Yes.
Have you read the book 1984?
John, have you read 1984? That's what I want to know.
Yes, I have.
Yes, I've read 1984.
What's the name of the main character in 1984?
Winston Smith.
Oh, okay, good. Well, it's not. Is it Smith? Is it Smith?
Yeah,
I knew it was Winston.
Winston Smith. That's his name.
Okay, well, you get that part.
Yeah.
All right, I was just
Go on. What's your point?
My point is that in that book, George Orwell predicted what's happening now. He's predicted a world where the history is being erased, individual freedom is being denied.
Oh, we're going.
What does this have to do with sex ed?
John, I'm gonna be real with you. You have to give me a reason to keep talking to you, or else I'm gonna end the call because I feel like we're kind of done with this conversation.
Well, I'm done with you too, fools.
Okay, John. All right. Well, that was interesting. I guess we're fools because we are inevitably going to send children to war because we want to teach them about sex ed.
About anatomy.
Yeah, or anatomy. I mean, I don't know where that was going at the end. He got the, you know what? I was surprised that he got the character right. Props to you, John. I think that's the truest thing you've said all call, because I don't think anything else you said was in the realm of reality. I don't think teaching children about anatomy inevitably leads to pedophilia. I don't think it inevitably leads to war, I think was his point. I don't know. It got to weird places.
No, it's if we teach kids about about sex ed, then we also have to send them to war.
Right. I don't think that makes sense, though.
Shocker.
I kind of thought about it, and I used my 2 brain cells left after that conversation, and I don't think that makes sense. But hey, it is what it is.